Well, earlier this evening, I spoke to the former Home Secretary David Blunkett. I asked him whether it's healthy that politicians often take the word of the intelligence services on trust.
Well, it's part of a democracy, and it's why it's so important, as I was saying in The Guardian earlier this week, that we build trust in the system. Because once people lose that trust, then they are not just sceptical, which is healthy, but they become cynical, which isn't, because then they'd preclude the security services from being able to develop the measures in taking on new technology and rapid change in the use of new technology, which will save us from all sorts of threats, including cyber.
But you also suggested in that article that we needed a breath of scepticism. What did you mean?
I believe that we need to challenge, as ministers and in our public debate, what we're told, because that is healthy. But challenge it in order to get people to come clean and to explain what they mean and where they're at, so far as it's humanly possible to do so without putting their own security staff at risk.
Do you ever feel you were misled during your time at the Home Office?
I felt that there were times, I've got to be very careful here, there were times when the enthusiasm for doing the job, the commitment, sometimes overrode judgement, which is why, although politicians are rarely trusted, it's important to have politicians asking the kind of questions that you would expect to ask yourself, Jeremy, and the public would ask of themselves. And on many occasions we had robust discussions, and sometimes I was persuaded, and on occasions I wasn't.
Do you think on some occasions you might have been persuaded too easily?
I think there's a danger when you come into a serious job like Home or Foreign Secretary that you come in, if you like, without the experience. And I think that that's part of the danger of rapid turnover of people in key positions. I was lucky I had nearly 4 years, or unlucky as the case may be.
Do you think you might ever have had the case overstated to you, or you been misled?
I think there's always a danger in public life that a case is overstated to make a point. A case is overstated because people are so committed, they're so carried away with what they know, that they want you to believe. And we're all occasionally guilty of doing this. In something as important as the security of our country, you have to believe that these people know what they're doing. But as something as important as civil liberties and our rights, you have to be prepared to ask the awkward question when it would be easier simply to go along with it.
Do you agree with the head of MI6 that what Edward Snowden disclosed will have enemies of this country rubbing their hands with glee?
I think there are undoubtedly parts of what has been stolen, not necessarily yet put in the public arena, that would have that effect. And that's why we need to have the public debate, but to examine who it should be that makes the final judgment on such sensitive material. Should it be even the most well-informed and sensitive editor of a newspaper, or should we have a better system within the democratic political arena that allows that to take place?
You talk about the democratic political arena, but in this relationship between the people's representatives, people like you, and the intelligence agencies, the cards haven't been dealt evenly, have they? Because there's going to come a point in the conversation where they could say to you, you'll just have to trust us.
I think there will be occasions, and when you err on the side of caution, and caution would be back to that precept that the first and most fundamental element of any democratic government is to protect its citizens and to ensure that its services are up to date with the facility to be able to deal with the rapid changes that those who would take away our life and liberty and intrude on our well-being are developing and have at their disposal. These are such difficult, delicate issues that I think the debate is a good one, but the solution has to be something better than people stealing material and then presuming that they know best in terms of what should be put in the public arena.
David Blunkett, thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy.